I actually saw a police car pull up and do a burnout. So in Michigan, there's an event called the Woodward Dream Cruise. Woodward Avenue is one of the most famous cruising sections of asphalt in North America. And in fact, a lot of the car companies would advertise and take photographs of their cars out on Woodward Avenue back in the day. It's a famous photograph of a GTO on a turnaround on Woodward Avenue that was featured in some ads back then. And they actually got in trouble for encouraging people to street race. And that's the meaning of Woodward, is that people actually equated it with street racing, hot rods, cruising. So when I was in high school, for instance, in the late 70s, I had a cool car and I'd go out cruising on Woodward Friday night, Saturday night. Any night you could, I was out there cruising around. In the early 1990s, a guy started as a fundraiser, a cruise, where he said, hey, if you got a cool car, come on down on Saturday and we're gonna drive around to Woodward and we're raising money for my kid's soccer team. And so many people showed up. It turns out there's a lot of guys out there and gals out there with cool cars, and they don't need much of an excuse to come out. And so many people came out that they decided to make it an annual event, and it quickly mushroomed to the point where it's almost out of control. They estimate that over 1 million people show up every year. They've estimated anywhere from 40 to 50,000 cars are brought there. I'm not talking about regular people driving out to watch, people who bring their cars. I've been going to the Dream Cruise on and off now almost since the very beginning. I've been almost every one of them. I often park at the north end and just watch traffic go by, but you'll see people who cruise the whole time. Other people park their cars, and there's so many cars there that you will see anything, you name it. I saw a row of 11 or 12 DeLoreans go by one day. There's a whole section where all the guys with the old Mustangs will park together. Car clubs, everything. And some people just set up lawn chairs and it's like a big parade, but it's free. Huge, huge event. First couple of years of the Dream Cruise, though, were very, very organic and less controlled. And it was not uncommon that people would, occasionally stop in front of a group of people and light them up a little bit, And a lot of people were goofing off and having fun and burnouts. And there was actually a restaurant bar just north of Northwood Shopping Center where there's guys with buckets of water. And if you indicated to them you want to do a burnout, they'd dump the water for you so you could do a big old smoky burnout. And I actually saw a police car pull up and do a burnout. That's how, like I said, everyone's having a good time. After a couple of years of that went by, one year somebody said, you know something? You got so many people, so many cars, we can't let people goof off too much. So they authorized the police to start writing tickets. Writing tickets at the Dream Cruise is like an apocalypse now, and he goes, handing out speeding tickets to the Indy 500. And it didn't seem right, but people who were smoking their tires were getting tickets. So one day I'm going into my office on the Monday following the Dream Cruise. I'm listening to a local radio station, and a guy calls in and he goes, I can't believe this. I was at the Dream Cruise. I got a ticket for spinning my tires. Cop wrote me up for that. And I went into my office and I called the hotline of the radio station and go, guys, I'm an attorney. I'll represent that man for free. I went to Dream Cruise. I had a fun time. I think it's bogus too. And they said, will you represent everyone else? And I said, sure, why not? So like many of the decisions in my life that are so well thought out, I did that on the whim. And I said, here's the deal. I'm going to give you my fax number. Tell people if they fax a ticket to my office by Friday, I will represent them for free. My fax machine blew up. I mean, these guys were promoting it, WCSX in Detroit, 94.7 Classic Rock. And they were giving my fax number out every morning, all week long. If you got a ticket at the Dream Cruise, Steve Lato is your guy. Here's his fax number, fax him the ticket. I told my secretary, I said, just start stacking them up and we'll start filing appearances. Now, the Dream Cruise goes through several communities. It goes through from Royal Oak to Birmingham and so on, all the way up. A bunch of different municipalities, but a lot of them were written in Royal Oak, which is like ground zero for the Dream Cruise. And so we started filing appearances on all these tickets. And I was, putting together files for all these. And I think I had 30, 40, 50 tickets that first year. And I would file appearances on all these tickets. And then the cool thing was I discovered that because many of the tickets were written by the same cops on the same day, all the appearances were being done on the same day. So I would get a notice from the court saying, Steve, be here on Wednesday. You got 14 tickets this morning. Or that afternoon, 12 more. And so I was going into court, handling these tickets. And the good news is that I would walk into a prosecutor office and I'd say, hi, I'm Steve Lato. I'm here on 14 cases. I drop them all on the desk and the guy goes, okay. And he cut me deals on all 14 of these cases because it was easier for him. We were doing justice in bulk. So we're going through these files, and if somebody spins your tires, they'd write them up for careless driving. Well, careless driving is a serious thing. 3 or 4 points plus a big old fines and costs, and we'd knocked it down to an unsafe start. That kind of stuff. So this is typical. If you hire an attorney on a typical day for an unsafe start, whatever, they knock the stuff around. So that is not that uncommon, but it was cool because we're doing these in big chunks. And I go out in the hallway and I call off 12 names and go, guys, I just got you all deals. Go up to Windows and pay your tickets. The very next year, somebody from the newspaper called me and said, are you still going to be doing that? Well, I know if I say yes, they're going to do an article about me. So I said yes. So the Detroit News sends a reporter over to my office, and they sit and interview me. We have a long, nice discussion about the Woodward Dream Cruise, how much I love this. But the focus of this, of course, is that I'm going to be representing people for free. Now this is being announced before the Dream Cruise, and that's a little bit of a problem. So I go to the Dream Cruise. I have a good time. Next morning, my phone, fax machine's blowing up. All kinds of tickets are coming. I got a stack of them like this. The number of tickets I got was so out of control that my secretary called me up one day and she goes, Steve, did you notice this? And she shows me a list of all the ticket numbers. And at one point in time, I had 6 consecutive tickets written by the same cop. All 6 of them had called me, and the ticket numbers were sequential, which the odds of that happening are pretty slim. So I filed all these appearances. At one point in time, I had 50 tickets in one courthouse on the same day. 24 in the morning, 26 in the afternoon, that kind of thing. So I go to the courthouse, I'm out in the hallway calling off names, and every single person's got almost the exact same thing. Unsafe start, careless driving, whatever it is. And they tend to overwrite tickets in the hopes that you either are stupid and you pay it, or if you do hire an attorney, they've got room to negotiate on it. And sure enough, went in and got all of these resolved. The next year, year 3, I think it was, another newspaper called me, maybe on a radio station, I don't know. At this point, I actually was on Channel 7 in Detroit television, Detroit News, Detroit Free Press, Oakland Press. One of the newspapers actually sent a reporter to the courthouse and interviewed me there and got a picture of me looking all smug in front of the courthouse, that kind of thing. And I was having a blast going to all these different courthouses. The next year, again, make the announcement before the Dream Cruise. All the tickets start blowing up. I file all my appearances. I go into court on the very first day, and the prosecutor goes, dude, I got bad news. And I go, what's that? And he goes, we've been told to stop cutting you deals. I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, we're concerned that people are getting tickets because they know you're going to get them off. I go, dude, I'm not getting anybody off. If you write somebody for careless driving because they spun their tires and we knock it to unsafe start, that's what should happen. And he goes, yeah, but my boss thinks that some of these people are spinning their tires because of you. Like, dude, it's not my fault, And he goes, well, you can kind of see this, so can't you? And I go, a little, I guess, I don't know. And he goes, well, here's the deal. He goes, we've got some that we're not going to cut any deals on at all, 0. And I go, which ones? And he goes, 3 of your people were written for reckless driving. Now, here's the thing. They were accused of spinning their tires. But a cop at the end of a long day who's been standing out in the hot sun all day long and wants to go home gets angry when he sees some guy fishtail onto Woodward spin his tires, and he's got to chase the guy down and give him a ticket. He's not going to give him a ticket for an unsafe start or spinning his tires. He's going to write him for reckless driving. Well, reckless driving is serious. 6-point offense. It's a misdemeanor. You can go to jail for it. And it's a heavy fine, and it's an automatic hard suspension on your license. You lose your license for 30 days, right off the bat. So I go, I would never advise a client to plead to that. And he goes, well, we'll have trials then. We actually had 3 trials, jury trials, where we actually had to go in front of a jury, pick a jury. And the beginning of one of the trials, the judge actually called us up to the bench. And I've been in front of this judge now 1 million times, including 500,000 times on Woodward Dream Cruise tickets. And the judge goes, why are we trying this case? And he looks at me, he goes, your guy won't take a deal? I go, no, they won't offer a deal. And he looks at the prosecutor, he goes, no deals, why? And he goes, it's a policy from the prosecutor's office, but we can't cut deals on misdemeanors because we think that his offer of free representation. And the judge is like, fine. So we actually had a trial. And so the sad news is I had one guy who got convicted, and he actually got dinged for points on his license and everything. And the sad part is, the guy probably had done what he was accused of doing, and that is spun his tires in the back end, probably got squirrely. I wasn't there. But is that reckless driving? Is that careless driving? Or is that simply, some kind of driving without due care? And the problem is the statute in Michigan and most states says that reckless driving is the kind of driving where you do something that has a high likelihood of hurting somebody or property, damaging property. And the argument is that someone could have gotten hurt. And the argument, of course, is that no one did get hurt. And I can tell you that I had one guy got convicted. I felt bad about that. An attorney hates to lose a trial, right? But the thing about it is that, I mean, we fought a good fight. We did what we could. On the other hand, I had another case, which was a jury trial, Woodward Dream Cruise ticket. And a guy got a reckless driving ticket because he had driven around a police barricade and he lived down the street and he had his wife and his kids in the car. And a cop had his hand up like this. And my guy thought, well, I just live right there. And he cut around and there was a barricade there. And the cop was talking to somebody. And when he realized that, he chased after the guy, stopped the car, hauled him out of the car in front of his kids, slammed him face down on the hood of the car and handcuffed him, and then wrote him for reckless driving. And so during that trial, the case is in front of a jury. And my guy testifies, which you don't normally like to do in a criminal case, but my guy's a very good witness. We talked very briefly about the cop with his hand up. And we spent his entire testimony talking about him being hauled out in front of his kids and wife, face down on the car, handcuffed, and being treated like that, all because he drove around a barricade to get to his house, which you can see right there, and the cop had his hand up like this talking to somebody else. And he got written for reckless driving for that. Jury came back not guilty almost instantly. And so the weird thing is I had to stop doing the free Woodward Dream Cruise tickets. Just, what can I tell you? I got shut down by the man, I guess. But I had so much fun, and I met so many people. And the funny part was, people hire me for tickets from time to time. And I'll read the ticket, and they'll say, somebody's driving a 2018 Ford Explorer and gets a speeding ticket. I'm reading these tickets, and it's like, 69 Chevrolet, unsafe start, and I go, what, tell me what is it? That's a big block Camaro with a line lock, and I actually had a guy tell me that, and he goes, yeah, because I did a burnout, the end all burnouts. He goes, but I had a line lock on. He goes, that car's not going anyplace, but he's a burnout you can see from space, But it was so much fun to talk about cars with these guys, because these guys, they're like, what kind of car do you have? And these guys meeting each other, like friendships and so on. And what's funny is I was talking to different people one day in court after I'd resolved a bunch of cases, and I had a guy that was from way far away. He was from someplace up in northern Michigan, like 5 or 6 hours from the Dream Cruise. So I know that he couldn't have heard about me on the radio, and I don't think he'd read about me in the paper. And so I look at the guy and I go, I'm just curious. I go, how did you find out about me? Because he'd faxed my office. And he goes, I was driving home from the Dream Cruise and I picked up a hitchhiker. And I was complaining that I had just gotten a ticket. And the guy reached in his wallet and goes, here, call Steve Lato. So I wound up representing, I never counted, but it was several hundred people from the Dream Cruise. And there was a point in time where if you're in the Detroit area during Dream Cruise weekend, you might see an article where it says, this attorney will represent you for free if you get a ticket at the Dream Cruise. And it was a lot of fun while it lasted, but it got shut down.
Premier Financial Services has been a sponsor of VINwiki for the last 4 years, and we can't thank them enough for their support, and we love them for that, but also because their Simple Lease truly is a tremendous product in the world of exotic car financing. They allow you to minimize your payment, minimize your down payment, take all the tax advantages that are available for a lease, while still giving you the ability to move in and out of cars and accumulate equity. So they structure it in a very unique way that's hugely advantageous, gives you a lot more buying power, and their customer service is absolutely incredible. So we love Mitch and their team for their continued support of the channel. We thank them for that, but please visit them at the link in the description below and find out how easy it is to buy your dream car through Premier Financial Services.